But I think it is so incredibly important to make people more aware of the fact that it is okay to not feel like yourself. Of course, it's uncomfortable. Of course, you get frustrated that the person you say you are, the person you want to be, is not the same as the person who is sitting right here listening to this episode. But being frustrated with that also means that you want yourself to improve, to evolve, to bridge the gap between those two persons. Hey guys, and welcome back to this new episode of Complexity of Contrast. I feel honored that you decided to join today, and we're just gonna dive directly into it. For this episode, we're gonna discuss the gap between the person we say we are and the person we show up as. For the past few months, I realized that that person is not the same, and I think honestly, most of the times, that person is not gonna be the same. I think there's a big difference between what we tell others we are, what we tell ourselves that we are, and who we are acting like in our day-to-day life, the person who actually makes the decisions and is showing up every single day. So if you ever felt like you're off, like you're not feeling yourself, and you're in this phase of frustration, of not understanding what is wrong, of being frustrated by the fact that you are not the same person as you say you are, as the person you say you want to be, then this episode is for you. We're going to dive directly into it because I think it is incredibly important for us to realize that there is a gap between the person we say we are and the person we show up as. Because that's the uncomfortable truth. There most of the times will be a gap between those two persons. Let me be honest that most of the time you will feel not like yourself. And that is something that probably not a lot of people will tell you. But I think it is so incredibly important to make people more aware of the fact that it is okay to not feel like yourself. Of course, it's uncomfortable. Of course, you get frustrated that the person you say you are, the person you want to be, is not the same as the person who is sitting right here listening to this episode. I get that that is frustrating, that it's nerving you. But being frustrated with that also means that you want yourself to improve, to evolve, to bridge the gap between those two persons. And that is what we're going to do in this episode today. I have prepared a little exercise that I normally do when I feel like I'm not in touch with myself, that I feel like the person I am acting as is not the person that I want to be, and that is actually a lot of times. So we're going to discuss that, but first of all, why do we even feel this struggle? Why do we even feel the frustration of not being the same person as we tell people we are? And honestly, I believe that it is incredibly hard to bridge the gap. Sometimes because we simply do not know that there is a gap. So the fact that you are listening to this episode and you're already had this realization of the person that I'm showing up as is not the person that I want to be, I think first of all that is a win. I think that you have that awareness is already an indicator that you are further in the process than you might ever think. Because having that realization makes it way easier to take actionable steps further. So I believe that the main problem we are facing here is the fact that we are not checking in with ourselves enough. And I totally get that we are not doing that. I mean, it's incredibly hard for us to prioritize ourselves. I mean, in our day-to-day life, so many external factors are keeping us from actually taking the time to stand still and reflect on how we're feeling, what our mind is asking from us, what our body asks from us. So how do we get to the point that we do check in with ourselves, where we do start to bridge the gap between not feeling aligned, and being aligned with the person we say we are. So when I do not feel like myself, when I feel off, I try to do this exercise, and I would 100% recommend it. Please put it onto your to-do list to take 3 deep breaths a day. And why do I tell you to put it on your to-do list? Because it's really easy to forget to take 3 deep breaths. And even though you might not succeed at it every single day, at least you have this physical reminder telling you like, oh, wait, that is actually a tool to help me. So what I want you to do for this exercise is to find a space where you can be alone for a moment. And this will take less than 5 minutes in total. So if you put it on your to-do list, it's something easy to check off. And I know how good it feels to check things off your to-do list. So that's also why I recommend it. But right now I want to take you in the exercise that I do. So what I want you to do is to find a place alone. If that is in your room, when you're just walking in nature, in your car, wherever you are at this exact moment, I want you to take this moment for yourself. This can be standing or sitting. If you have the opportunity, close your eyes. If not, then you can keep them open. And I want you to take a deep breath in. So we inhale through the nose and we exhale. Now we're going to do that again. Inhale through the nose. Slowly exhale. One last time. We're going to inhale and we're going to hold it. And you're going to let go. And now I want you to sit with this feeling for a moment. What is it that you have been ignoring? What signs has your body or your mind shown you that you didn't want to look at? What does your body and mind need in this exact moment? What can you do for yourself to become a little bit more aligned to the person you want to be? I want you to know that you can always come back to these questions. You can pause the video, you can write them down if you feel called to. Because taking that time for yourself to just have this personal reflection, this introspect, I believe that is the most valuable thing we can do for ourselves. If you formulate what it is you have been neglecting, what things you decided not to see, you know what your starting point is gonna be. After doing this exercise, I normally would cry, honestly. I would feel all the tension move through my body and just finding a way to let it go, to truly sit with myself, my feelings, my thoughts. And often I would come to the realization that I have simply been letting myself down. And that is a really hard realization to have, that you have been prioritizing other people instead of yourself. But it's also good to know that that is the case, because having that awareness means you can work on what you have to do to become more as the person you want to be. And what I want to give with you also through this exercise is that it's all about small steps. I'm not asking you to meditate for half an hour or an hour or do weird exercises that take up half your day. I want you to start small. I want you to be aware that every single little action you decide to take to break up the pattern of acting who you are, that is not aligning with the person you want to be, is the best step you can take for yourself. And honestly, that is why I believe that Even though we often know what to do, what actions to take, what decisions to make to become the person we want to be, we often do not do that because we get overwhelmed by all the steps we have to take in order to become that person. But every single milestone is one, and just deciding to take a little small action or a different decision than you would normally make already changes the direction to where you are going. Breaking up the cycle of rushing, of ignoring everything that is going on within you. Practicing the state of just being in this moment, asking your body and mind what it needs right now and what it expects from you in order to evolve in the person you want to be. And the smallest steps can literally be, I remember this one time I went camping with a friend, and it was really amazing camping with a lot of art workshops. And one of them was that I was in this dance workshop. We had to stand in a circle, and one of us had to go into the middle of the circle and just start moving. And I felt so much resistance. I knew that the person I wanted to be would go up there, would just go into the circle, do her thing, even if nobody would join her. But when I was standing there, I got so triggered. What if nobody's joining me? What if people are judging me for the way I move, for the way I show up in my life? And it's okay to have these thoughts. I want you to know that. But are you going to decide to take the same action you have always taken? Because for me, that would mean just staying aside, not going into the middle of the circle. But I knew that nothing would have changed if I would stay where I stayed, if I would take the same decisions I have always taken. And I think you only get to the point of true change if you can no longer live the way you want to live. And sometimes that's a really harsh reality. But in that exact moment, I was like, what would the person do that I want to be? And she would just go up into that circle and do her thing, no matter what anyone would think, even if she would be judged, whatever, she would just go up there. And I try to truly ask myself that more, but you can only ask yourself that question if you decide to give yourself space and ability to listen to yourself. I mean, if you constantly keep ignoring and keep rushing through life, then you are not in a space to ask yourself the question of, what would the person that I want to be do? What decision would it make? What action would it take? And only then, if you know what the person would do that you want to be, then you can take decisions and actions accordingly. And it takes courage to break up that cycle that you have probably been continuing for the last couple of years or months or however long. But every single small decision or action that is different from the one you would normally make brings you closer to the person you want to be. And that is beautiful. So I think it's all about the small steps. And that is what I wanted to tell you for today. I hope you got something out of the exercise. Remember to put it on your to-do list. Breathe in 3 times and then ask yourself and just sit with the feelings you're feeling at that moment. Sit with the thoughts that are going through you. Allow yourself those 5 minutes a day. So thank you guys a lot for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode, that you got something out of it. And I'll see you guys next time. Definitely do not forget to leave a review. And yeah, okay. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Bye.